I want to start by saying congratulations for making it thus far. Look, starting a business is never easy and it's never something that you should take lightly. The fact that you've actually made it to this lesson, it means you're in the top 1% of all the people that have been talking about starting this business. So you've really made it this far because you are determined, you're hungry for success, and you know that you're in the right place to grow your business. So, with that said, you've consumed so much information, and at this point, it's information overload, right? So, one of the things that I used to struggle with, that everybody struggles with, is staying very organized. In fact, at this stage in our business, we are obsessed with being organized. And you should be obsessed with being organized as well. So let's get into it. They're what are called high value tasks and low value tasks. And I think it's super important that you understand the difference. So let's talk about low value tasks for a second. Low value tasks are tasks that do not bring in money because the bottom line for every business is to make money. If you're not making money in your business, then it's just a hobby at this point. So you need to understand the difference. High value tasks are tasks that are directly related to you bringing in money, bringing in income. Let's start with the low value tasks for a second. These are things like data entry, things that are time consuming, things that you can easily pay somebody $10, $15 an hour, like a virtual assistant, to help you do. So if you need to fill out a spreadsheet that's not directly tied to revenue, then you should pay somebody that $15 an hour so you can take away that time that it takes you to do it and focus on more high value tasks. Another example is conducting on site patient assessments. You, as the business owner, you should never be doing it. In fact, if you've trained your caregivers how to do it the right way, then rely on them to be doing it so you can focus on the high value tasks. Because doing an on site patient assessment is not really bringing in income, right? It's really taking away the time that you could be getting on the sales call and that sort of thing. Another example is doing caregiver duties. I cannot tell you how many times I talk to agency owners and they're talking about, oh, I have to go do the work. That means you're just trading time for money and you just created a job for yourself. As a business owner, you should understand the difference. You're not an employee anymore. You are a business owner, so you should think like a business owner. Let's jump into high value tasks. High value tasks are activities that are directly tied to revenue, the bottom line. I've really emphasized on the concept of the 80-20 principle. If you don't remember what that is, the 80-20 principle is really the 20% effort that brings in 80% of the results that you want. What is the ultimate result you want? Making more money, right? So, what are those activities? Examples: taking sales calls. You should never delegate sales calls until you've mastered the sales call. Only delegate a sales call task if you know how to do it. If you closed at least 10 or even 20 sales, then you can delegate that to somebody else because you know how to do it, right? So you will know when you're delegating it that it's not being done the right way. Another example is sending out invoices to clients. That's a high value task because it's going to bring in money. So you should be doing your own invoices, going into Stripe, creating that invoice, sending it out. Defining systems and processes is another high value task. So instead of you actually going to do the work, the assessment, make sure you manage and you've defined the process and you fine tuned it. So in our previous lesson, we talked about, what that process looks like, what the caregiver is going to have to do once they're on site, how to do the assessment, collecting data, managing the weekly patient reports, and that sort of thing, the custom care plan. You should not be doing that. The caregiver should be doing that. It's going to take away the time, obviously, to bring in money. Conducting candidate interviews, super important, high value task. Supervising employees, another high value task. Approving payroll, obviously directly related to revenue. So you need to know how much money is coming in, how much money is going out. So you need to be obsessed with that. Approving payroll is super important. Investing in equipment and services. If, let's say, a caregiver needs extra PPE, masks, sanitizer, maybe a new pair of scrubs, then you invest in that. It should come out of your pocket and you should make a decision on spending that money because you are the business owner now. So, as the business owner, your job is to make sure your caregivers are as happy as possible so they can be doing the best work possible. Let's talk about setting goals for a second. A lot of people are not good at this. I was never good at it. We were never good at it as a team, me and my wife. And right now, I'm happy to say we are really good at setting our goals. Literally 90% of our goals that we set for 2021, we've crushed. You should be focused on the same thing. You should be focused on crushing every single one of your goals. This is how we do it, and I highly recommend you should also consider the same process. First thing that we do is we define what our daily goals are, and then we define what our weekly goals are, we define what our bi-weekly goals are, find what our monthly goals are. So as you can see right here, a daily goal could be as simple as logging into your Google Ad account, monitoring how much money you spent for the day, and then submitting a question in the student forum group that we just created for our students. All you have to do at the end of this lesson is to send us an email and say, hey, I've completed this lesson. Can you send me an invite for the student forum group? In that student forum group, it operates very similar to a Facebook group. If you've ever been part of a Facebook group, then you'll know how they work. Simply put, a student forum group is going to be this forum where you post a question and then we can get to answer that question and everybody gets to benefit from that answer. And that's going to work so amazingly for future learning because this is not the end. Although this is the final lesson, it does not mean that this is the end of your learning because there's always going to be something that you don't know that's been missed in the lessons that you've already consumed. So maybe new updates to how things are done, in other states that could affect you in your own state or in your own city. So you need to be on top of that. So being part of this student forum group is going to be super important in the weeks, months, or years ahead. I highly encourage you to check the description below this video. Make sure to message us and tell us to send you an invite to that group so you can be a part of that group. Because this is a group where if you post a question, you're going to get an answer faster than you would if you were to schedule a call with us, and which typically takes days, as you've noticed, right? So it could take you 2 or 3 days to get your question answered when it could take you just hours to get it answered. So in that situation, okay, I'm getting feedback faster. So it's really a value add to your learning process. In this situation, it means that we're going to hold you accountable throughout the rest of your business growth. So it's super, super important. A weekly goal is also going to be things like checking employee schedules. So with the When I Work app, you need to be on top of that. So you need to be logging in and making sure that your schedule is tight. If you look into the app, there's a feature that allows for caregivers to be able to submit some time off. So you need to be able to know how to approve and reject paid time off and those kinds of things. So you need to be on top of that every single week. QuickBooks, checking your profit and loss sheets. It's another weekly task that you need to conduct, and that should be part of your goal. Bi-weekly goals would be things like, everything that's included in your weekly goals, and of course, approving payroll. Monthly goals, everything included in your daily, weekly, and bi-weekly goals, but also including what we call employee all-hands meetings. So an employee all-hands meeting is important because you want to make sure that you're reinforcing your company's goals to your employees every single month. All the major companies, all the major employers, all the major agencies, hospitals, you name it, they do the same thing. They have what they call all hands meetings, where you set an agenda for your agency and then you over communicate why it's important for your caregivers to be doing a good job. And similarly, you'll also be getting feedback from your caregivers on what is working in your business and what is not. So you can fine tune that process over and over and over until it's close to perfect. There's never going to be a perfect process, but you can get as close to perfect as possible. And the only way you can get to that point of almost perfect is to get feedback from your employees. Lastly, do not rely on your brain for everything. I've learned this the hard way. When we set goals, we use Google Calendar to set reminders. And this is very simple. Going back to the daily, weekly, bi-weekly, monthly goals, what I urge you to do is to define those goals, and then you create these calendar reminders at specific intervals in your calendar. So that every Friday, if you have to check your QuickBooks, if you have to check your schedules, then you can just going to get an automatic reminder from Google Calendar to check it. So you don't never have to think about it. All you do is just get the reminder. I'm like, oh, okay, let me set 1 hour or 30 minutes to check into this. Practice makes perfect. So the more you do it, the easier it becomes. Lastly, use Google Drive. These are all free tools, by the way. Nothing here you have to pay. So Google Drive serves one major purpose. As you've noticed, you've consumed a lot of information and there's a lot of documents, right? So let's exclude the policy and procedure manuals for a second, and let's just focus on all the spreadsheets that you had to download, fill out, and that sort of thing. Where are you going to keep all of those? Keep all of those in your Google Drive. So create these folders that allow for you to be able to just know where things are as quickly as possible, or if you need to share them with somebody, you can easily share them. So Google Drive is super important, and we use Google Drive all the time to store every single document that we have for our agency. So with things like invoices, obviously those can be stored in Stripe, which is your invoicing software. So you don't have to worry about that, but you can also save those invoices in Google Drive by just creating a folder that says invoices and then uploading those files in there. I'm also going to make it super simple for you. All the documents that you've had to download since the beginning of this course, I'm going to put them below this video so you can actually download them again if you have not done that, and then start creating your folders right away. In fact, do it as soon as you complete this lesson. Go to Google Drive, create all these folders, and then start uploading these documents that I have added below this lesson. And obviously, make sure to reach out to us for the invite to their student forum group. And I hope you enjoyed this lesson, and I'll see you in the forum.